Who doesn't love new construction? The idea that everything is, well, new. Ideally, nothing major will need to be replaced or repaired in the near future. And depending on the builder or the process, you get to pick exactly what you want. But there is a dark side to the process. Maybe it isn't that wicked, but there are definitely things you need to know. Otherwise, you will be caught off guard and very frustrated. Here are 3 things that I see over and over, regardless of who the builder is. This is what they don't tell you about new construction. Number 1, everything favors the builder. You heard me right. Everything favors the builder and not you. This theme will be woven throughout this video, and I continually remind the buyers I work with who are having homes built. First, the price and deposits favor the builder. They're the ones to set the price of the home and state how much the deposit has to be. If it's an inventory home, sometimes there can be a little wiggle room on the price, but most of the time, the builder establishes the price, deposits, and incentives. Second, the contract favors the builder. The contract and all the terms do favor the builder. They will not allow you to change one word. Sometimes a buyer will ask if they should have an attorney review the contract. They certainly can. I'm never going to tell somebody not to hire an attorney, but the attorney will not be able to sway the builder to make adjustments to balance the terms or the favoring between the builder and the buyer. At best, the attorney will make you aware of what to be mindful of. And then third, the appraisal favors the builder. With both a resale or new construction, if the buyer is getting a loan, the home has to appraise at or above the purchase price. Typically, if a home doesn't appraise on a resale, the seller will drop the purchase price to the appraised value, or at least they're willing to negotiate the purchase price. But with new construction, the builder has started to include a clause in the contract that says if the home doesn't appraise, too bad, so sad. The builder will not drop that price and the buyer cannot get out of the contract. The buyer is locked in. So whatever the difference is between the purchase price and the appraised value, the buyer has to bring that much more in cash to closing. Now, this has really come up since COVID and with the frenzy that we experienced in the last few years. Now, about 5 years ago or so, I had a buyer who was doing new construction, and there was no clause in the contract at that time that said that the buyer has to cover the gap between the price and the appraised value. The home didn't appraise by $10,000. So the sales agent first calls me and tells me that his boss says that the buyer needs to come up with $10,000 to cover that gap. And I told him, well, the buyers don't have that kind of extra money to cover that gap, and you're aware of that. So he then said that his manager would then say that I would have to kick in some of my commission to help cover the gap. And I told him no to that too. I reminded him that the builder chose this purchase price and there was no flexibility. And this was the second to the last home that was being built in the community. And these homes were pretty cookie cutter. There was nothing really better or worse from one home to the next. So I told him to tell those who determine the pricing that they need to get a handle on their own product. It's not my fault or the buyer's fault that they can't figure out how to price their product properly. And even though this was a phone call, I could hear his smile on the other end of the line. He said, "Okay, Jill, thanks a lot. This is good. This is good. I don't anticipate any more pushback from my manager." The buyers move forward without any more hassle. But like I said before, that was before and not today. So be aware, if the home doesn't appraise, you are still buying that home. You have to have the funds, the extra funds to cover the difference. Now, maybe that will shift back sometime soon, and I really hope it does. So the contracts, the terms, and anything that has to do with money is going to favor the builder. The second thing I want to let you know about is the completion of the build. Something else that isn't described well to buyers is how long it will take to build. So yeah, the sales agent will give you a window of time, and the construction manager will also discuss when the home might be completed throughout the process. They'll give updates all the time. But what they don't tell you is they are never accurate. In the last maybe 4 years or so, I haven't had a single home close in the time frames provided. They always get pushed out. And buyers are making housing and life plans based on these time frames. Most buyers have to sell before they buy a home, and if not, usually these buyers want to use the home, by a certain date. Everyone is so disappointed when the home isn't complete as anticipated. And these delays are not just a few days or even a few weeks. It's normal for it to be a month or even 3 months or more. Even this year, I've had it was like 4 or 5 months of a delay. And if you're renting prior to closing on the new home, please have that lease lined up past the completion deadline. And I know you're thinking, okay, Jill, I don't want to do that because I don't want to pay for rent on this property I'm leasing and make a mortgage payment on the new home if it is completed on time. But one thing I want to point out to you is that your first mortgage payment on the new property isn't due for at least 30 days past the closing date. So if you close January 5th, the first mortgage payment isn't due February 1st, but March 1st. If there is some overlap in payments between mortgage and rent, what's worse, scrambling to find a new place to live, moving your things again, or just paying a little bit extra to have peace of mind of not needing to move? So that's a really big deal. Now you might be thinking, okay, Jill, now why are there delays? Well, it could be a lack of materials, lack of workers, poor planning on the part of the construction manager, and usually it's a combination of all three. I recently had a home that was nearly ready, but in the end, it was delayed about 6 weeks. A window broke and PGT sent the wrong size window to replace it. So we had to wait on that new window and the shower enclosure in order to get the certificate of occupancy, or CO, so we could close. Now, I named the second point completion of the build and just not timing or closing date, because something else they don't tell you is that the home may not be complete when you close. You certainly will have the CO and the home is livable, but it may have some incomplete items. Sometimes there's just a few small items or two, but there could be dozens of issues. And when I say dozens, I mean dozens and dozens, like dented appliances, the wrong appliances, missing cabinets, missing cabinet doors, poorly installed cabinets, poorly installed anything really, tile, backsplash countertops, pavers, lights, windowsills. I could go on and on with this. And once again, we go back to point number one. Everything favors the builder. They want to close on that home, and they don't care that you are annoyed that the home isn't complete. And when you're renting, you might be desperate to get out of that rental and get into your home. And so you're going to tolerate that anyhow. You're going to go, okay, it is what it is. I got to move in. Then once you move in, and they've got these list of things they've got to finish up, then you have to put up with letting a worker into the home to complete the work. And these are not the things they tell you, or if they do, because sometimes they do, but they don't paint a complete picture. They just sort of downsize it. They just make it sound kind of fluffy. Also, they don't come running back to you to finish these tasks in the next few days or even weeks after closing. It could be 3 or even 6 months later that you're nagging them to get it done. I've had some potential new construction buyers tell me that they will refuse to close if the home isn't 100% to their liking. Some say they'll walk from the deal. Some say they will argue and scream with the builders, which I've had buyers do that, and it doesn't get them anywhere. In fact, one construction manager went into the hospital with heart problems after a long day with my buyers who were very verbal in their frustrations. Others have said that they've built in the past and they will not tolerate these shenanigans from the builders. Jill, I get it. I know what I'm doing here. But times have changed, my friends. You will close when they tell you you're going to close. In the contract, there's a clause that says for each day that the buyer delays the closing, they will be charged an extra fee. And it's something like $250 a day. Now, the buyer can close whenever they want. They can change your plans in your life. But when they tell you that you are closing, you are going to close. And if you walk from the deal, you will lose your deposit. And that can be, it's usually about 10% of the purchase price. So $500,000 home, that's $50,000. So that is a lot of money. Again, everything favors the builder. So having a 100% completed home in the time frame given is really kind of unheard of right now. And this is something they don't tell you. Let me take a quick minute to introduce myself. My name is Jill Thomas. I'm a real estate agent in the Sarasota area, and each week I bring a new video to help you understand the local real estate market and living in the Sunshine State. So if you've been thinking about buying or selling in this area, this might be a great channel for you to subscribe to and follow, hit that notification bell. But most importantly, please know I'm here to help you out. If you have any questions or you need to bounce thoughts off of someone, please reach out to me. Everyone's situation is different, and sometimes after watching hours of videos like this and doing gobs of research, a quick conversation can really help give you direction and clarity based on your situation. So I have a link below where you can sign up for a 30-minute phone call. You can also just text or email me. All of my info is down in the description. So far we've discussed how everything about the building process favors the builder, and the completion of the build normally isn't what the buyer is expecting or has been told about. Now, the final point, number 3, nothing really makes sense. The one word I hear most from those going through the new construction process is why. Why doesn't the builder communicate better? Why doesn't the builder do things in this order instead of that order? Why can't I just change this one little thing on my house? Why can't the home be 100% complete? Why can't the home be 100% complete? It's a new home. Why isn't it perfect? Why won't they be direct with me? So many whys, and often it really doesn't make sense. And I totally agree with you. And I know that maybe making changes is too much. That's something I get with the builder, that, you know, a buyer can't go in there and start tweaking things because it'll really mess things up. But it isn't uncommon for me to be on the phone with a new construction buyer, and they pepper me with all of these questions. Why this, why that? Even after I really prep them a lot up front, they will ask it, and I'll say, I know it doesn't make sense. I agree, but you have to go with the flow. You're locked in. And remember, everything favors the builder. These are some of the things the sales agent doesn't always come out and tell you when you're thinking about new construction, or they're going to really soften it and make it seem like it's an exception. This might happen, but in the end, it happens a lot, all the time. When they do tell you or present a more realistic picture, it's often too late and you're going to be very frustrated. So I work hard to prep my new construction people so they understand the risk and the strong potential of what could happen. As long as you get it, as long as you're good with it and you can be flexible, hey, so am I. And yep, the process can be really frustrating, but usually down the road, a year or two later, the buyers are happy and that anxiety is in the past and they're happy with their new home. Okay, so next segment. One thing I love and one thing I hate about Sarasota. So one thing I love. In January, the average low here is 52 degrees. And that means, since it's an average, it could dip even down to the 40s at night, or it could be even a little bit warmer. But overall, we do not have to turn on our heat too much. For me, every year, it's a little different. I may turn it on just a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, and it could be as many as 10 times, but it's rarely days in a row. It's just a day or maybe 2 days here and there. Then when I do happen to go up north for the winter, I'm freezing the entire time, and then dealing with the heat on in the house and having to wear a coat all the time. Well, it just drives me out and it's not fun. So I love it that we do not have to use the heat that often here. Now, something I don't like. In Florida, we do not have basements. We have attics, but usually they're just a little too hot to store things up there. We do, of course, have garages, but they're usually just big enough to put 1 or 2 cars in there, and then all around the car is used for storage. There's shelving and things. So what does that mean? Well, we have very little storage space here with our homes. And if you move here from up north and you have lots of storage in your home, then please, you're gonna have to say goodbye to that. Be sure to have a big garage sale before you move. Otherwise, you will pay to move things down here, and then you're gonna have to get rid of them, have another garage sale, because there's no place for you to store your things, to store your stuff. So be mindful of that. Our storage here kind of stinks. Well, there you have it. The things that you need to know about new construction, because nobody's really telling you that. And another thing I love and hate about Sarasota. As always, please reach out to me. I'm here to be of help to you. And I really thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.